The Congress's top leaders met today for the Congress Working Committee, which is their highest decision-making body. And once again, they cleared the way for Rahul Gandhi to eventually take over. They actually did that in 2010 and have repeated it. But will he? That's the question. Party leaders say it may finally happen by October this year, but we've heard it all before. So it ain't over till the fat lady sings.
This was the second time that the Congress Working Committee had cleared the path for Rahul Gandhi to take over as Congress President. The process first started in 2010. However, this time it seems that Rahul will finally take over by October.
We also discussed the schedule was approved for the organizational elections.
Speaking at the Working Committee, the Congress's longest-serving president had some scathing words for the Narendra Modi government. She said the government is seeking to extinguish the sense of India, and there is a brazen campaign to straitjacket the whole country into a regressive view. The meeting was also addressed by former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, who cautioned the government on job creation and said the economy is running on one engine of public spending.
Rather than discussing always about the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Modi government, the Congress should be introspecting, should in fact put aside some time to think, are there any working hands left in Congress or not?
Meanwhile, NDTV has learned that CWC members have urged for more frequent meetings, and Rahul Gandhi will head a think tank with senior party leaders to help the party formulate its stand on complicated matters and issues. Rahul's elevation as Congress President is almost certain through the democratic process. But the big question remains, will any senior Congress leader take on Rahul Gandhi in the internal elections, which will be conducted in the next few months? With camera person N. Ravi and Mursulin, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
Will he, won't he? Joining us on the program tonight, Sharmishta Mukherjee, spokesperson of the Congress Party, Shubhrastra, assistant editor with the India Foundation, Mr. Shahid Siddiqui and Mr. Kumar Ketkar, two senior journalists joining us tonight, and Mr. Pavan Verma of the JDU also joining us this evening. Let me ask you, Mr. Shahid Siddiqui, first. We have this sense of deja vu. Actually, as I pointed out and the story points out, the first time the CWC actually talked about Rahul's elevation was back in 2010, and here we are still in a way guessing that he may do it by October this year. How important would it be for the party for him to actually take that step?
You know, Congress, when it was formed, was a party which used to pass resolutions and organize meetings. It was Mahatma Gandhi who turned it into a mass party of mass movement, and the same thing is required today. It's not important whether Rahul Gandhi becomes the president or Sonia Gandhi remains the president or someone else takes over. The real issue is, how do you bring back the party into as a mass party, as a party with more followers than you have at the moment, and for that you have to launch mass movements which should bring in the farmers, the poor, the underprivileged. That doesn't seem to be happening. Party meets, passes the resolutions, and this will prove to be a damp squib, because if you do it too many times, and too many times the promise is made that Rahul Gandhi is going to lead the party and bring about a huge change, then it loses its sheen. And that's what has happened. So even if he takes over now or after a few months, it's not going to make much of a difference unless you turn it into a mass party and lead mass movements. As after Mrs. Gandhi lost in 1977, Sanjay Gandhi led some people's movement and led from the forefront. And that's where the turning came for Mrs. Gandhi in 1977, I remember.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Sharmishta Mukherjee, if you'd like to take that on, what Shahid Siddiqui says, that if you keep having this announcement at regular intervals without any result, it's a bit of a damp squib. Actually, in some places, it's become a bit of a joke. That, you know, will he, won't he, when will he finally step forward and take responsibility? I'm sure, I mean, you can't say this on TV, you're a Congress spokesperson, but it must be tiring even for you to have to play this guessing game.
Nidhi, the issue is that it seems people outside Congress, they are far more interested that when Rahul Gandhi is taking over, why is he not taking over? The fact of the matter is Rahul Gandhi, even without taking over formally as the president, he is very much in charge of the party, you know, he is very much involved, he is at the realm of things. So, and please also understand that there is no conflict, there are no two different power centers in the party. If that was the thing, if there were two different power centers within the party, then things would have been different. But here we have got a very senior, seasoned Congress president, experienced Congress president, and also a very charismatic youth leader as the vice president. So when he takes formally, of course things are going to change, but things are changing. For example, at the moment we are in between the organizational election of the party, which is extremely important, and Rahul Gandhi ji, you know, is very much into the helm of things. He is quite in control of things, and he is
but why
traveling
has it taken
all over.
7
He
years?
is meeting different kinds of
Why
people.
has it taken 7
so
years to
formally?
In 2010 is when the CWC first passed a resolution saying he should take over. Now we are in 2017 and we're still having this debate.
This is the decision of the Congress president, of the Congress vice president. You know, he himself obviously needs to consent, and also the CWC, the final decision making power is CWC. So whether it takes 7 years or whether it takes 2 years or whether it takes 2 months, it is not really relevant. But the fact of the matter is that Rahul Gandhi ji is very much in control of the party, and the most, you know, he has been talking since a long time in terms of rejuvenating the organization, democratizing the organization, and that is exactly is happening. And through the internal elections of the party, you know, we are going to have new breed of leaders, new people coming into, new faces, so which is very important. And this is all Rahul Gandhi ji's idea, and that is all Rahul Gandhi ji's leadership.
But Mr. Pawan Verma, as a leader of the opposition, and as we look ahead to the next general election, and the possibility that opposition parties may need to rally together in order to take on what looks like a BJP, you know, that is clearly on a roll. How important is it from the opposition's perspective on who the Congress leader should be? Because is the Congress, in your view, still the only sort of national party in that sense around which other parties would have to rally around, or are those days over, Mr. Verma?
I must say quite clearly that what happens within the Congress, when the transition takes place or even if it is taking place, is not a question that I can answer. It is for Sharmistha Mukherjee to answer and the Congress party to answer. But what I would like to make clear is that there is a need for a far more impactful and credible narrative of the opposition as a whole, which I believe as yet we have not been able to forge on a pan-Indian scale. Now, if you accept that, then it follows that there is a great deal of internal soul searching the opposition also has to do. The government in its 3 years has provided for the opposition very relevant issues on which to unite, but not on an arithmetical basis. That a few parties come together and periodically or sporadically take up an issue. You have to build an alternative vision. You have to build a proactive vision. You can't be just a reactive opposition. You have the issue of jobless growth. You have the issue of farmers. You have the issue of the economy not growing, the ease of doing business not improving. You have endemic social instability growing. There are issues on which, within a democracy, an opposition indeed has a role. But the opposition, I don't believe as yet, but I am a great optimist, has yet built a credible narrative.
But
I think that is the real issue, rather than looking at internal party transformations and transitions.
But I know you wouldn't be able to comment on the internal dynamics of the Congress, but that's why I asked you, Mr. Verma, on whether you believe that still the Congress would be sort of the party around which the rest of the opposition would rally before in the next general election. Is it still sort of that national party that commands, in that sense, takes a leading role for the opposition, or is that going to change now? that it's not necessary anymore?
No, I think that it's a question which is both premature and hypothetical. One thing is not in doubt. The Congress is the largest opposition party. It has a pan-Indian footprint. It exists in those states where other opposition parties, which may be strong in their own regions, are not present with that strength. Now, whether that particular past or legacy it has inherited makes it a fundamental pivot of a larger opposition unity or not, also I must confess, and I will say this with candor, depends a great deal on the Congress party itself. But let me tell you that in a democracy, a strong opposition is something the country needs.
No one denies
and
that.
that is something we have to all attempt, have to attempt to forge.
So Shubhrastra, from your perspective, what does Rahul Gandhi bring to the Congress party? And very simply the question I'm asking tonight, is he really an asset to the party, or is he a liability? The track record electorally is not impressive. I don't even think have had a proper meeting post the UP debacle on why they lost in UP and what went wrong over there. What, according to you, does he really bring to the table for the Congress?
Nidhi, thank you for inviting me to the show, first of all. Secondly, I think it would really not be correct for me to comment on Rahul Gandhi, because for the simple reason that he represents a political party whose ideological underpinnings are not something that I totally agree with. Plus I don't want to comment on a leader who I don't even identify himself as one of my leaders, to be very frank. And I speak it on behalf of many youth who have really struggled in their lives, risen up from almost nowhere to wherever they have reached. I don't think Rahul Gandhi represents that kind of leadership and that kind of, he is not a charismatic youth leader, as one of the Congress spokesperson on the show said. I think I have problems with each of the three terms. Charismatic, no. Youth, definitely not. And leader, I don't think so. I mean, I've been involved with elections for the past 4 years now. I've looked into 4 elections, and I've seen Rahul Gandhi playing out his politics and trying to sort of come of age, as that has been media's favorite term. But I think I've seen him do more harm to the Congress party in that sense, and it has really worked very well in favor of the opposition, so as to say. So definitely he's an asset for the party, which is sort of gaining grounds even in a place like Northeast where it never had footprints. But as far as commenting on his leadership style, etc. is concerned, I would like to reserve my comments there.
Well, Mr. Ketkar, let me take that to you. It's interesting, Shubhrastra says, and she's very clear that ideologically she doesn't agree with the Congress, but she doesn't see him as a charismatic leader, as a youth leader, someone who's done more harm to the Congress than done good for it. Actually, Mr. Ketkar, honestly, a lot of Congress leaders privately say the same thing, especially after this year's elections. What's your assessment?
Well, actually this charisma business is quite overused term, because Indira Gandhi was not having charisma when she became Prime Minister in '66. Actually she developed charisma after 1969 split in the Congress. Rajiv Gandhi, I remember several magazines putting a cover, "Will the cap fit?" on Rajiv Gandhi's head, and Rajiv Gandhi was also not seen. In fact, he was seen as a pilot who will not be able to pilot the party. So I think charisma is a thing which evolves, and so therefore whether he is charismatic or not depends on what happens in future. But the point is, Congress does require a serious equivalent of a Kamraj plan, which happened first during Nehru's time, but that time Nehru was in power and Nehru was also Congress president, Kamraj was president, and later again Indira Gandhi in 1969, when the syndicate debacle began, Congress reformed itself. So in '69 there was kind of a split. Similarly, in 1985 when Rajiv Gandhi took over, I remember I covered that speech of Rajiv Gandhi when he said Congress party is full of thugs and dalals and agents and it needs to change itself. And then again Rajiv Gandhi tried to change the party, and he did change the party. So I think Congress needs a serious Kamraj plan equivalent, which unfortunately Sonia Gandhi has not done for last about 5 years. Actually Sonia Gandhi should have carried out the equivalent of Kamraj plan. But now if Rahul Gandhi takes over and if he really conducts an operation which is urgently needed, perhaps Congress will have again kind of a following and kind of attraction among the people, even among the youth, if he really carries out that. If he does not, then it will become a status quoist party. Today Congress is seen as a status quoist party. Actually BJP is a regressive party. In economic terms it's a status quoist party, but unfortunately Congress is seen as a status quoist party. That is because Congress has internally not changed, not radicalized itself to the new agenda, and therefore Congress is seen as a party of the old guard, of the old vision, and what it requires is new vision.
That's interesting. What
Rahul Gandhi can or cannot is a different matter.